And hello again from WJ Live, powered by the Western Journal. Thanks for joining us this Monday afternoon. I'm Josh Manning, Deputy Managing Editor for Assignment at the Western Journal. Joining me today, Joey Chester, Assignment Editor, and on my left, Grant Atchison, who is a new reporter for us. You're not new anymore. You've been here months now.
It depends on how you define new, really.
He just moved to the area. It's very exciting. One day I'll get his last name. Thank you for joining us today. News-wise, it's kind of hit and miss today. There's not been a whole lot of huge stuff. However, Facebook is down right now. We are joining you for our first Facebook-free day, maybe in the history of the Western Journal, perhaps. So that's exciting. All sorts of rumors floating around out there about whether this was unintentional or intentional, an inside attack. Was it timed to coincide with the Facebook whistleblower that appeared on 60 Minutes 2 last night? Lots of stuff going on out there. We are parsing it, trying to figure out what the truth is, and we will get that to you as soon as we can. But first off, got our 3 topics for the day. We normally bring you 3 each. Grant is going to be talking about an interesting development with the WHO. While they have been preaching to us about how to save lives and minimize suffering, they have had several people up to serious no good down in Africa. A lot of charges of rape going on, and this is not this is something that has been out there while they are preaching how the rest of us need to act and live and behave. We're also going to be talking with you about an insane new law that's being proposed by a leftist state congressman. He wants to force vasectomies on men at a certain point in life. He's trying to make a point with that, but I think we can make a pretty good counterpoint. But first off, Joey, you have got a fascinating story about Senator Kyrsten Sinema, pardon me. She's from Arizona. She ran as a liberal, probably not a leftist, but ran as a liberal.
So that's accurate. Yeah.
And she has been not quite as difficult for the Democrats as Joe Manchin, but she has not supported the Democrats where they have all wanted her to. And some of her constituents have turned on her.
Yes. Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin are probably the only 2 Democrats standing between America, or they are the only 2 Democrats standing between America and Biden's insane legislative agenda. Well, over the weekend, or it might have been on Friday, Senator Sinema was confronted by a group of people who supposedly helped her get elected. Sinema teaches at ASU, I believe, when she's not in the Senate, which is kind of cool for those students, get to be taught by a U.S. Senator. Very cool. So some protesters showed up outside of her classroom as she left and went into the bathroom. And they did not stop when she entered the bathroom. They followed her in. So I want to show you guys the video of that, and then it's going to go into Joe Biden's response, which is just terrible. Let's roll that.
Okay, I'll be back.
So then we want to talk to you.
Hi, actually, I am heading out.
But right now is a real moment that our people need in order for us to be able to talk about what's really happening. We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
We knocked on doors. We need solutions. The Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need.
We knocked on doors for you to get you elected, and just how we got you elected, we can get you out of office if you don't support what you promised us.
We need 7 million citizenship for 7 million. We need the Build Back Better plan right now.
My name is Blanca. I was brought here to the United States when I was 3 years old. And in 2010, my grandparents both got deported because of SB 1070. And I'm here because I definitely believe that we need a pathway to citizenship. My grandfather passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was not able to go to Mexico and visit him because there is no pathway to citizenship. And if we have the opportunity to pass it right now, then we need to do it, because there's millions of undocumented people just like me who share the same story or even worse things that happen to them because of SB 1070 and because of anti-immigrant legislation. And this is the opportunity to pass it right now, and we need to hold you accountable to what you told us, what you promised us that you were going to pass when we knocked on doors for you. It's not right.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and it's because of the lack of worker protections that we don't have in the gig economy. I need you to stand by workers. Lots of people who are like me who became homeless and
48 Democratic votes right now. The other two have been pressured over the weekend by activists. Joe Manchin had people on kayaks show up to his boat. He yelled at him. Senator Sinema last night was chased into a restroom. Do you think that those tactics are crossing a line?
I don't think they're appropriate tactics, but it happens to everybody. From the only people it doesn't happen to are people who have Secret Service standing around them. It's a part of the process. Yes.
Now, I think all of us here at the Western Journal agree that the First Amendment is important and you should exercise your First Amendment rights. But that does not allow you to follow someone into the bathroom and record them. And just by the way, these activists, or I don't even want to call them activists, these agitators broke Arizona state law by following someone into the bathroom and recording them. They broke the law and they don't care. And they threaten, we helped get you elected. We can get you voted out. And this is not a legit protest. Following someone into the bathroom is not going to change their mind. And then Joe Biden, what is his excuse? Well, they shouldn't have done that, but it's just part of the process. Following women into the bathroom and harassing them, that's just part of the process. It comes with the job, I guess.
We were trying to decide if the person in the red shirt and blue jeans in there was a man or a woman. And,
it doesn't matter.
It's not clear. It truly doesn't matter. Because,
to the left.
Because, yes, exactly right. That could have been a birthing person or it could have been an inseminator. That's apparently what we are now. We're birthing people and we're inseminators. But this is... I mean, this is the chaos, the kind of chaos that we saw back in the 60s, and it's this, Obama, he didn't give birth to this idea of radical change, but he really kind of brought it into being in modern America. And when you tell people, especially young people, that they are important agents of change, when in fact young people should be the least important agents of change ever. If we could raise the voting age to 65, I would vote for it tomorrow. I really would. I would give up my right to vote tomorrow if we could do that. Because you end up with stupid stuff like this.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know what we learned through that video, except that the left is as far off the rails as can be. And I guess maybe Senator Sinema doesn't have a shy bladder. We learned that too. Those may be the only two things we learned out of this.
Yeah, I mean, the left has given up all of its last elements of civility because they are so desperate to get this bill.
Liberals. The left. This is the left. This is leftism. Leftism follows you into the bathroom with a camera.
Yeah,
because you're sinning against the state ideology.
I guess Sinema and Manchin may be the only two liberals left in the U.S. government. I'm not sure. What do you guys make of Biden's response? Well, this just happens to everyone. Is that a legitimate response to this situation?
Well, I think that Biden probably follows women in the bathroom all the time.
Yeah, he probably has, yeah.
He is comfortable with the concept. We do believe he's comfortable with the concept.
What he meant to say is, I do this all the time.
I wish we still had the shot from Friday of him pinning the woman up against the fence at the baseball game.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes. Allegedly pinned what's her name to the wall. Tara Reid to the wall. Sorry, Grant. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that it's disgusting.
Play to your strengths, sorry.
Yeah, well, I think it's disgusting, and I think that at the same time, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
Because I think that we've seen, it's been years now that we've been seeing things like this. This is a new level. Following people into the bathroom, that's a new level of kind of invasion of privacy sort of thing. But with Maxine Waters, we've seen her go multiple times telling people to harass Trump supporters.
Yes.
We've seen plenty of people on the left encouraging harassment of others. We've seen Black Lives Matter activists going into neighborhoods, going to houses and screaming, this used to be a black neighborhood, now it's a white neighborhood. These are people's residencies. And yeah, bathroom is probably a little bit worse, but to me, unfortunately, it's not all that surprising that we've gotten here because it's just where we've been for a while, and it's just kind of the natural end. Things are going to keep going and going until it gets just completely out of hand.
So I think you said it's both not surprising and disgusting.
Yes.
And
that's great.
That is the nature of the news today. We've hired a couple of new editors, and I've been training them lately on story selection. And it is amazing how many stories that they bring that I reject that a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago would have gone viral because they're so nuts.
Yeah.
But given how disgusting everything is right now and how unsurprising that is, it is very difficult to get people to pay attention because it has gotten so uncivil and so wretched out there. And just to be clear, it is the left that has done this. Conservatives didn't come on the scene and say, hey, we want to radically change America back. No, conservatives have been fighting against radical change. We're not the ones who started this. The left did. They are the ones who are uncivil. They're the weathermen. They're the ones who set off a bomb in the Senate. They're the ones who assassinate people. They are the ones who are the dangerous ones here and the uncivil ones and the disgusting ones. And now it's not surprising anymore.
Yeah, that's something that Ben Shapiro says all the time, is that the left would like to pin the disgusting nature of politics on Donald Trump. They would like to say, oh, it's Trump's fault. Things were never this uncivil until he came in office. It's just not true.
They need to go back and read races.
And Trump
early in the
decided
country's
that
history.
he was going to be one of the first kind of mainstream conservatives who was going to kind of engage in that, for better or for worse, kind of disgusting. Not necessarily disgusting all the time, but at times, attacks that maybe conservatives hadn't seen before, and he just decided he's going to participate in it, and then they tried to pin it on him, but they're the ones that started it, not him.
Yeah, they were attacks that living Americans hadn't seen before, and that's what made it so strange, and that's one of the perpetual problems with humans is that we don't live long enough. We die very quickly, and so a lot of lessons are lost with us. But there was far worse stuff than Trump said that was said just in the first few years of the Republic. So kind of brutal hand-to-hand political combat isn't a new thing, but it is the left that is engaging in these radical practices, not conservatives.
Yeah, you don't see conservatives going to somebody's house or
No.
going to the bathroom.
I know the only person I ever follow into the bathroom is you, Grant.
If I had to make a prediction, I think this style behavior is what will be the downfall of the left, because eventually they run out of people on the right to attack. They start eating themselves alive. They start turning on each other. They barely are holding on to majorities in the House and the Senate. Turning on each other because you're so desperate to get your agenda passed is not going to help you. You are going to lose. So I say, keep doing this. Fine. Keep doing it. You're going to lose.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to lose. You are going to lose.
It's only good for us.
You are going to lose.
Well, we saw Andrew Yang either today or yesterday say
he
he's
left.
leaving.
Yeah.
That's going to keep
great.
happening if they
Yes.
keep engaging in this type of behavior.
So we've got to move on, but I do want to talk about one final thing with this. We've talked a lot about the F. Joe Biden, for lack of a better word, movement that seems to be going on wherever a group of people are gathered together in public. It seems like people are shouting F. Joe Biden. And this is a new, again, for us, a new phenomenon. I don't remember anybody ever shouting out F. Bill Clinton. There was some of that with Bush a little bit, with George W. But I think you're right. This is going to continue, and I'm afraid the F. Joe Biden stuff is going to continue with. It's not even conservatives, with anti-leftists.
Yeah.
With general patriotic, run-of-the-mill Americans, and that's a natural thing to happen. That they would say "F Joe Biden" because look at how Joe Biden has effed everyone else.
Yes.
But I continue to be worried that it's going to escalate and escalate and escalate, and we've yet to figure out how to de-escalate what's happening. And maybe what's happening is that people are waking up in the morning and realizing, good gracious, we actually can't live with each other. That's a scary, scary thought. And the sort of the blue side of that, the side that says, America is horrible and the worst place ever, rape rates on college campuses are similar to rape camps in the Congo. Well, they would do well to listen to our friend Grant and his report on the WHO, a vaunted international organization, an NGO that does good for the world, helps people, saves lives, has impeccable credentials, would never do anything
Fauci
wrong.
loves them.
Biden
Fauci's
loves them.
them.
Man, these guys, they really got it figured out.
Yeah, they're amazing. The great WHO. When Trump pulled out of the WHO, it was the worst thing ever. He is a terrible person.
He's a murderer.
There's no way that any decent person would ever pull out of the WHO because it's full of people like this. So last year, there was an investigation from the Thomas Reuters Foundation along with the New Humanitarian, and it found 50 women who accused aid workers, some of them who worked for the WHO, of sexual misconduct. And so that launched another probe that was an independent commission that was formed, and those findings came out last Tuesday, and they found a separate incident, completely unrelated to these other 50 women. 83 aid workers were involved in a sex scandal during the Ebola crisis, or a Ebola crisis that was occurring in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And at least 21 of those aid workers were employed by the WHO. That was confirmed by Reuters. So a member of the commission, his name was Malik Coulibaly, he said, quote, "The review team has established that the presumed victims were promised jobs in exchange for sexual relations or in order to keep their jobs." So they're exploiting employment and saying, in order to get employment or keep employment, you must have sex with us. And that's basically...
It's a casting couch. It's the Weinstein.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
the
they're
Weinstein
doing.
move.
Yeah.
And this is a, like you said, an organization that's supposed to be focused on public health. It's in the name. And so, to make matters worse, 29 of these women, according to Reuters, became pregnant because the perpetrators refused to use birth control. And some of them, it didn't name a number, but it said some said that they were forced to have unwanted abortions of those children after they became pregnant. So obviously, just some really disturbing stuff. My question to you guys, the first one I want to pose is, conservatives, I feel like, have already had a pretty low opinion of the WHO. The people who are left who listen to the WHO are leftists. Do you think that a scandal like this will further damage their credibility, or will it not have really much of an effect?
I mean, I generally have a problem with big organizations like this, and the U.S. being part of them. Like, I don't think the U.S. should be part of the UN, because the UN has people that sit on the Human Rights Council that are, they
give clitorectomies.
Yes, exactly.
Or at least have.
Yes. And we shouldn't support WHO. One of the first things Biden did was rejoin the WHO. I hope this damages their credibility, but I don't think it will. I think it'll be swept under the rug. And this will go on, and it'll continue, and there will be absolutely zero consequences. People that engage in globalism, people that are globalists, like the people that run the WHO, get away with everything. There are never consequences for these people. They will do it over and over and over again, and leaders like Joe Biden will enable it to happen over and over again. I don't think this will change anything.
Yeah, because they're IGOs, intergovernmental organizations. I said NGOs earlier; they're IGOs. There's no actual oversight. There's no larger thing watching them. It's like the same reason there's no accountability for the UN, because there's no larger thing watching it. The only thing out there that could impose any kind of accountability on either of those organizations is the United States. But of course, up until Trump, we have had a feckless group of leaders, Democrat and Republican, who refused to touch those things. The closest we had was George W. Bush, and he dealt with the UN fairly strongly, but he was trying to get authorizations of force and those things. Coalition build and those things. This is perhaps the least surprising news to me ever. Anytime I hear international organization and Africa, it's like it's followed by rape. The UN has a history of sending in peacemakers or peacekeepers, and one of their primary means of keeping the peace is, I guess, fear of rape. I don't know.
I guess that's
And I think part of the problem is they use local troops to do this, and so you've got all of this. There are massive cultural issues where, well, if you want to, feminists act like and leftists act like America has the worst track record with women possible. No,
baffling.
Go travel
Not
around
true.
the United States, travel outside of the U.S., travel outside of Europe, and see what you think about that. I've been to the Middle East. I've been to China. I've been to the Emirates. I've been to Saudi Arabia. I've been to China. You want to see women treated poorly? Look in those places. You want to see women treated horribly, horrifically? Go to Africa. The fact of the matter is that the U.S., the West, has led in human rights, the advancement of human rights and women's rights, largely because of Christianity. And of course, the West and Christianity are the things most under attack by the left. But the wholesale rape and violence from IGOs like the UN and the WHO, that's not surprising to me.
Yeah. One more quick question that I wanted to add is kind of on the hypocrisy of the WHO. The Director General, whose name is Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, I think that's how you say it, something like
Let's
that.
just call him Teddy.
Teddy.
Okay.
So Teddy, he's tried to take the high ground, as WHO usually does. Not on this specific issue, but throughout the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, he was talking about how important poor countries are. Just this Friday, he said, quote, high-income countries who are vaccinating their population significantly are starting to see COVID-19 as if it's not their problem. That is dangerous. When they see that the problem is not affecting us anymore, meaning the rest of the world will be ignored, if there is one word that can explain it, it's greed. So yeah.
Well, let's take our billions in international aid and go home.
So America is greedy because we
invented
made
the vaccine. We invented the vaccine.
We won't produce enough of it to give to every single country that ever existed.
Now you could take the Sinopharm vaccine. You could take that. But there are some nasty potential side effects from that sucker. Western ran a piece on that a week or two ago. People who opted for Sinovac and Sinopharm instead of is Astra's the British one, isn't it?
Yeah, AstraZeneca.
Yeah. Or J&J or Pfizer or whoever else. The ones who opted for Sinopharm, there were some nasty results for some of those people.
Is that the one that was used in Israel? Or was that the Chinese one? There's so many with bad side effects.
I can't remember. I don't know, but it's yeah. I mean, let's just take our hundreds of billions in international aid and go home then, if we're so greedy. And by the way, the only way that poverty has receded in China is because of Western capitalism, because we're the ones who were willing to buy all of the junk that they were able to put together for slave wages. And they're better off for it. I mean, they really are better off. Of course, we lost our factories because of that, because we could outsource it. But it's capitalism and America have pulled more people out of poverty in the last, in the last 50 years than the last 500, I think. I mean, it's unbelievable what we've done. It's not greed. It just happens to be beneficial to us, too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how he talks about specifically lower income countries and how important they are. Then you have, DCR, which is the 6th poorest country according to Global Finance, and you're supposed to be helping them out of an Ebola crisis, and instead you're raping their children. One of the victims was 14 years old. You're raping children, raping women when you're supposed to be helping them. So, I mean, if you want to talk about helping low income countries, maybe
or greed.
Just take a look in the mirror.
Greed. The greediest thing in the world has to be having treatment for Ebola available, but bartering it for rape.
Yeah.
Greed is taking advantage of girls, kids in these countries and having your workers rape them. That is greed.
That's greed right there.
While you are supposedly helping them. And that's why I think globalists are evil. Globalists are evil people. The people that run the WHO are evil globalists. And it is not the United States' duty to give vaccines away to other countries. We have a job to take care of America first and the American people first. Every country in the world has a duty to take care of its people first before helping out other countries. No country should be worrying about the world. Take care of yourself first. It's not our job to take care of other countries. If they want to buy vaccines, the WHO is loaded. They have billions upon billions of dollars. Buy some vaccines. Buy some vaccines from us. We're not just going to give them away. Buy them.
Well, and why? So why not? There's. I think you're right about a whole lot of that. And there's no problem with international aid. It would just be nice to be thanked. You know,
well, I have a problem with international aid.
Fair enough. But I mean, it is unbelievably irritating to give billions and billions of dollars away. It's American youth and American missionaries and American corporations that go overseas and actually bring prosperity to these people. Mm-hmm. And yet we are talked about like we're evil.
Yeah.
Let's just cut the aid for a couple of years. Let's just take the aid budget to 0, 2 or 3 years.
That's great. Yeah.
And then see if they're grateful after that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of my issue with international aid is we give away so much money, yet the United States is trashed around the world as this evil capitalist country, this greedy country. Yet we give away so much money and we help so many countries and we help people all across the world. And Americans put their lives at risk to help these people. Yeah. And yet we are always portrayed as the bad guy. Like, why don't we just cut off the money for a bit and see how people like it,
or at least until we get our house in order.
Yes.
Which I mean, that's if
another,
you can't pay our bill, if we can't pay our bills, why are we giving a bunch of money
if we
away?
can't take care of Americans first, and that's part of my issue with letting in lots of immigrants and migrants. If we can't take care of Americans and the problems that are at home, how are we supposed to take care of other people? It's just not feasible.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. There are migrants we want. There are people we want to become Americans. There are people who can contribute to America, and we want those people to come in, and we want to be able to take care of them to the extent that we take care of all of the rest of us. But we're not. We do have borders for a reason. At least we're supposed to. All right, we ran long there, but that was a good segment. Okay, so quickly, we've only got a couple minutes for this. We can run a little bit long if we want to, but we're going to end on a ridiculous / comedic note here. I want to introduce you to our new favorite liberal, our favorite liberal of the day, probably leftist of the day, Representative Chris Rabb. Chris Rabb on Twitter says he is a proud dad, a rabble rouser. Oh, we get what you did there.
You know what? I gotta
You're
give him
clever. Yeah, I know. I wouldn't give him that. Public servant representing the people of Northwest Philly and PA's 200th legislative district and all Pennsylvanians! ! Parentheses, he, him. So he, him,
I
Chris
was wondering.
Rabb. Yes, over the
name
weekend.
Chris, you never know. It could be.
Over the weekend, tweeted, yes, he is either a chest feeder or an inseminator. We're not, pardon me, a birthing person, because you can have a non-birthing chest feeder. I think
he can still be a birthing person.
But you can't be a birthing person and an inseminator.
Can you not?
Switch
I don't
between
think.
them. Maybe
are we now?
Decide.
Yeah, are we to the point that we're? What's the term for that? Earthworms can do this.
Nothing
we can,
is real.
Yeah, that we are. It's not asexual. I can't remember the term for it, but anyway,
Yes,
Chris
sorry.
Rabb. All right, we're Chris Rabb. He appears to be an inseminator, Chris Rabb. And so he tweeted out over the weekend, I'll be introducing a bill, and we can put this up on the screen. I'll be introducing a bill inspired by Representative Kelly Cassidy that requires all inseminators to undergo #vasectomies within 6 weeks of having their third child or 40th birthday, whichever comes first. Additionally, ... He goes on, we'll talk about that in just a second. If you can't tell, he's not serious about this. He's trying to make a point, trying poorly, to make a point about legislating health care. Rabb goes on to say, my forthcoming bill will codify the definition of wrongful conception to include when a person has demonstrated negligence toward preventing conception during intercourse. This legislation will allow Pennsylvanians to take civil action, #civil action, against inseminators for unwanted pregnancies who wrongfully conceive a child with them. Last, this bill will empower Pennsylvanians to enforce this prospective law by offering a $10,000 reward for reporting to the proper authorities those scofflaws who have not complied with this statute within the allotted time frame. As long as legislators continue to restrict the reproductive rights of cis women and trans men and non-binary folks with an S. That's the first time I've ever seen that. FOLX. Folks. There should be.
Is that male and women and birthing people? Folks?
I have no idea. There should be laws to address the responsibility of men who impregnate. He did use men. He slipped up. He used men.
Oh no!
He tried so hard in that entire thread.
Throw out the bill.
Okay, so we'll ask you guys a couple quick questions, then I got a couple of observations. Joey, I mean, what do you think of a stunt like this?
It is clearly a direct jab at the Texas
law,
abortion law. But I think it makes him, and as a member of the Democratic Party, I think it makes them look so stupid. How can you compare this idiocy with the Texas abortion bill? I mean, the Texas abortion bill, one, it's like not even your body that you're dealing with. You're saving the life of a child. Yep. This is just insanity. He's clearly trying to appeal to the supposed bounty in Texas with the $10,000 thing. I think it's stupid, and I think from the ratio of his tweet, people also recognize just how stupid it is. But this is the state that the left is in, where they just are playing political games and political theater to try to advance their cause. I don't think this does anything to help him. He's trying to make a point, but I don't think it's made.
Yeah. So Grant, we get what he's trying to do here. Is it effective?
No, it reminds me of when I was in college. I was a very outspoken conservative.
When you tried to force vasectomies on people?
Yes. Yes, but no.
We all had that 2 months.
I was an outspoken conservative, and on Twitter, there were people who would, respond to things that I would say, and they would say something really stupid, and then all of their little cronies would come and like their tweet and retweet it. It seems like that's what he's going for. It's like he wants all of the little leftists to be like, "Oh, that's so funny! great one! Great point!" Yeah. But it's so bad and embarrassing.
Yes.
And it
is embarrassing.
The parts that he's trying to be serious about, that he's actually not trying to be funny about, are the funniest parts. Like the fact that he says "folks" with an X.
Inseminators.
That's not even the joke part. The joke part is supposed to be the vasectomy part. But the funniest part is his language that he uses. He doesn't even recognize how dumb he sounds.
The left is gone so woke that it's funny.
It's a parody of itself
you
now.
think that they're joking. They have
itself.
lost it so much. It feels like this feels like an SNL skit.
Yes,
It feels
calling
like
men inseminators.
Yes. And saying folks. That sounds like something. It sounds like he has written an SNL skit that it would be a parody of the Texas abortion law.
It would be a good skit too. It'd be very funny.
It would be funny. Yes.
a couple of observations here before we wrap this up. First off, he's accidentally making the exact opposite of the point he's trying to make. The entire point of the pro-life movement is that babies are their own beings even before they're born. So the point is not the conservatives are not out there trying to sterilize women.
No.
And by the way, historically, as far as I'm aware, the only sterilization movements out there, the only eugenics movements out there, were from the left. Back in the early 20th century.
Doesn't abortion increase your chances of not being able to have a child in the future?
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's the
I don't
case.
know that.
So that's
that's an interesting point then. So maybe there is some unified messaging there, but yeah, the nobody on the conservative side of the spectrum is trying to restrict reproduction. We're trying to make sure that reproduction actually happens, which seems to be a good idea. It seems to me that the threat of running out of people is a lot more dire and worrisome than the threat of the temperature rising a degree globally. Call me crazy. But the other point, I was listening to an old interview Norm Macdonald, of all people, did with Ann Coulter. And
R.I.P.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, my favorite comedian, and actually ended up becoming a believer, which is really cool. I'm very much looking forward to getting to meet him in heaven. But anyway, she made a fantastic point I had never thought of before. Democrats and the left are utter cowards when it comes to abortion, because they won't handle it through legislation. They will only ever handle it through the courts. They won't actually give us a say on it. The people, since Roe, have not really gotten a say on abortion. They do it through the courts. His willingness to actually put it out there as a bill, he's safe doing that because he knows it'll be defeated. The people at least get to speak on it. As is, people don't get to speak on abortion. Certainly not on a national level. So anyway, that's your as they used to say for the Daily Show, that's your moment of zen for the day. That's your moment of liberal insanity, leftist insanity for the day. So, all right, that's we're a couple minutes over, but that's okay. We're going to wrap it up. We went long on this Monday. Thank you for joining us. Remember, we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button, then click the little bell. That'll make sure that when we go live, you know about it. Finally, if you feel led to support us in a more direct way, we would be thrilled. You can go to westernjournal.com/join. That is westernjournal.com/join. What we do is actually a pretty expensive thing, and we do it really on a shoestring budget. We don't have any billionaires behind us. We make our money through ad revenue. And
which doesn't happen when Facebook is down.
Which
like
is
today.
a lot less common when Facebook is down, yeah. So if you feel led to support us, we would be thrilled. It takes hundreds and hundreds of page views for us to even make $1 in revenue. I bet you didn't know that. It takes hundreds of page views. So we rely on God's providence, and if you feel led to help with that, that would be wonderful. If you don't, keep watching, keep reading. We're grateful for you as is. For Joey, for Grant, I'm Josh Manning. This is the Western Journal. This is WJ Live, powered by the Western Journal, and we will see you Wednesday. Thanks.